Book family,
Hello.
we are here and we're doing our Tuesday, what is it called? Tips
Trades.
and testimonials.
Yes.
So we're glad you stayed with us. Thank you, people. We know that we had some technical difficulties, so there are probably some folks who are just trying to log in now so we can get through this. So we apologize for the technical difficulties that we had, but thank you for being with us. We appreciate that. So here we are, and we're going to be talking today. We're going to talk about emotional intelligence. And so we want you to chime in with your questions. We're going to do our best to see the questions and answer the questions, respond to them as best as we possibly can. So feel free to ask those questions that you may have, and we're going to share with you our experience, our understanding of the whole thing. So, hey, good to see you good people out there. We see you, Sister Walker, Sister McQueen. Good to know that you're out there paying attention and listening to us. So,
And hello, everyone. I am Shiela Little. It's kind of got us. We just trying to make sure this thing is right. All right. So basically, we came up with Tuesdays, tips, trades, and tools because we really wanted to allow the business community and emerging leaders to be able to, ask questions and get the information that they need so they can enhance their personal and professional lives.
Right. So that's why we're here today. And we wanted to do this as a segue into a couple of other initiatives that we have. One of those initiatives is the Mastermind Mondays and then the Wednesday Winners. Those are two different groups that we want people to become a part of. It's actually a physical and personal experience where you would come out to Leadership That Delivers and participate with like-minded individuals and having some discussions around issues such as this one that we're going to talk about a little bit today, which is emotional intelligence. So we're hopeful that you'll be able to like us on your Facebook page, on our Facebook page, Leadership That Delivers, and then you can get the information on the upcoming workshops and seminars and things of that nature that we host.
Right. In addition to that, we're celebrating our first year. So June 1st was the first year that Leadership That Delivers actually opened. And in this last year, we've really been working hard to be able to provide you guys with resources, to provide you guys with opportunities, with the space to conduct your business, with the space to legitimize your business, and it's all intentional. It's all intentional.
Yep.
And so we're excited about this next year. We're excited about this third quarter that we're going into. We really have some great deliverables that we want to offer to you guys to really enhance, everything that you're doing in your personal life and your professional life. I'm going to introduce myself. I am Shiela Little, partner to Desmond, but I'm the CEO of Leadership That Delivers and the Access Business Solutions Center and Shaping Solutions. And I am a clinical therapist, and I'm currently a doctoral student for business psychology with a minor in industrial organizational psychology and business consulting.
And I'm Desmond Daniel. I am a retired superintendent of Bridgeport Spalding Schools. I'm currently working as the executive minister at Mount Olive, and I'm serving as the COO of Leadership That Delivers and Access Business Solutions Center. So that's what we do. So we're excited about being here, and we want to provide a service to the community that will enhance your lives both personally and professionally. So that's really what we wanted to do and establish in these businesses, such as Sheila has already said. So.
Yes. So before we move forward, just can somebody give us a thumbs up that you guys can hear us, that everything is coming through clearly, because we just had some major issues with the technical stuff. Oh, great. Thank you. Much better. Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you. Okay. So, like we said, we really want you guys to chime in, add some questions if you have any questions as we do this discussion. We're going to try to keep it to about 30 minutes. Don't want to take too much of your time up. As Desmond said, we actually have our mastermind series that we're doing, and we have some other series too, but we really wanted to invite you guys and provide you guys with an experience of what this mastermind group is. And research shows that mastermind groups actually help to not only increase your professional life, but it also increases you as a person because it provides you with the opportunity to be around like-minded individuals. And what we understand is that in our community, sometimes it's difficult to find individuals who are like-minded, and we are here. We're all working hard. We're all trying to better our lives, but we are kind of spread out, and sometimes we have issues with really talking about our needs, talking about, our growth and things like that. And we tend to offer that to individuals who's really not interested in, our personal development because they're not interested in theirs. But that does not mean that you don't have the desire to grow and execute your dreams, whether it be starting a business or, getting promoted, going back to school, graduating, being a better mother, relationship or whatever. And so one of the things that we really want to do with this Tuesday's tips, trades, and testimonials is really be raw. And true about just the nature of life and the things that we go through and how we grow and how those changes look in our lives and how we implement those things. So,
yep, that's what we're about. So we wanted to talk today about emotional intelligence.
Right, emotional intelligence.
And so Shiela and I had a discussion, for those who are just chiming in. We had a discussion last night about what emotional intelligence is and how we enact emotional intelligence or the lack thereof within our lives. So we came up with a scenario, and we talked about a family going to McDonald's, and they have all of these different orders. So they place 5 or 6 different orders, and then the orders come, and we're sitting in the car and we're eating our orders, and then we find that something is wrong with one of the orders. So at the time that we find that there's something wrong with one of the orders, that's a key moment. So what do you do when you find that there's something wrong with one of those orders? And one of the things that Shiela talked about was the fact that sometimes as a culture, we may not demonstrate emotional intelligence. Is that right? Is that what you said?
That's what I said.
Yeah. So go ahead and share that.
Well, I guess let's go back and talk about what emotional intelligence really is. So do you want to talk about what emotional intelligence is?
So emotional intelligence is a concept that was developed by a gentleman by the name of Donald Goldman. And Donald Goldman became he was disenchanted with what intellectual, the IQ, your intellectual quotient. He felt that was not a strong enough concept to demonstrate a person's true intellectual knowledge, because we're more than just academics. See, the IQ measures one's academic knowledge, but it doesn't take into account your personal experiences. It doesn't take into account your self-awareness. It doesn't take into account your personal responsibilities and things of that nature. So it was limited. So he developed this concept of emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence provides us with an opportunity to be who we are and learn from our experiences and act in a manner that provides us with a continual growth experience.
Right. And it's kind of like a lot of times, I think in the past, people was really looking at people who had high IQs, right? So techs and engineers and, people who had these great professions like lawyers, doctors and attorneys. And they were looking at them and they were saying, wow, you're amazing, you're great, But what they found was that there was a disconnect between those people who really score high on their IQ and how they engage with people,
right.
Right. And so that's when this whole study came out about emotional intelligence, because it wasn't so much about the person's IQ and how smart you were. It was really how intelligent you were when it came to really harnessing your emotions and the emotions of other people.
Right. And just being yourself and working with individuals, partnering with individuals, and being emotionally intelligent means that you can harness your feelings, such as you said, as well as it provides you with an opportunity to navigate through discussions or experiences that you have that could turn out and be horribly volatile, but you recognize that you're getting angry, you recognize that you're getting emotional, or the other person is getting emotional. And when you're too emotional, you can't work through the situation, but you're just caught up in the emotions of the moment.
Right. Right. So when I first got introduced to emotional intelligence, it was actually in my class when I was going for my HR certificate or certification. And the lady kind of attested, or she said that the word emotion was really came from the word emote. And emote means to kind of be theatrical or to, kind of dramatize whatever that feeling, that mental feeling that you have. And that was interesting to me, right? And so she said, so how do you emote this feeling or this thought or this behavior? How do you emote that intelligently? And so that's where we came up with so you're at McDonald's and you know how we do. We go to McDonald's and we have all these special orders, right? So I want one burger, and I want this burger to have, cheese on it, and then the other burger, no mayo or light mayo with just 3 dabs of ketchup, and then, pickles on one, onions on the other, or whatever. And then we get, we get in the car, we check the sandwiches, and they're not made how we want them to be made, right? And so then instantly you get a feeling about that, right? You like, wait a minute, they didn't make these sandwiches the way I wanted to, right? So you have a thought, and now you become theatrical, or you emote that feeling that you have about your thought. So how do we emote that, right? We go back into the place and we tear into the what is it called?
The waitress, the person
that's serving us.
Yeah.
I ordered these sandwiches, you ain't getting right, but you got an intention that, you know what, I'm going to go get my money back. They finna have to make me some more sandwiches, and I want a fry, and I want a large drink because you messed up, right? Well, the thing about emotions is that we all have them. We just don't express them intelligently, and that's why sometimes we get a bad due because we're not emotionally intelligent. We don't emote or, display our thoughts in a way that can be intelligently handled by ourselves or by the individual who we're speaking to.
Yes. So here's the thing. So when you're faced with this situation, you ordered 6 things and you're in the car and you're having a discussion with all of the people in the car, and now all of a sudden your focus has changed. First, it was all about us getting this meal and having a good time and laughing and joking and talking with each other. But now that they messed up one order, this is when we go off. Now, that's a key moment because now you're making a decision in that moment while you're sitting in the car with all of these individuals, and somebody gets the bright idea, we can get this for free if we go inside and we do this. So now is when the theatrics begin. So now you find yourself, you're talking to the cashier or you're talking to the server, and you're just going in on them. And the reason that you're going in is not a true and integritous reason. Okay, so they put some onions on your burger. They put 4 onions on your burger, and you wanted 7. You wanted it cut in half, but they didn't cut in half. Now, you already ate the food. You just kept a little piece of a little bit so you can go in and you can go in on them so that you can have your stuff paid for. That's your goal. Now, that in and of itself is not integritous. So now the people in your car know that you get ready to cut up. You get inside and you cut up, you're going in on the cashier and you're making all of these claims and all of these things, but your goal is not an integritous goal. So you are emoting, you are creating this emotional situation for a reason that's not integritous, that is not based upon the person that you want to be seen as. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, yes, you may be disappointed because your order was messed up, but now you're going to take this emotion to another level so you can get something that isn't, it's just not integritous.
Right. So Denise said that a lot of us, I guess, are emotionally stunted because they haven't faced the issues in their life, which occurs at an earlier time.
Right.
So being a clinical therapist, Denise, you're absolutely right. And that is that key moment, right? So when you get that sandwich and it's not done how you wanted it to be done, or it doesn't look the way you want it to be, you're actually triggered from a key moment before in life, probably in your childhood, that you wanted something, you said what you wanted, and then when you opened it up, it wasn't there, and you felt disappointed, and you felt like, oh my God, like this thing happened and it shouldn't have happened or whatever. And at that point, you felt some type of way, right? And because you felt some type of way, then at that point, you ended up, now every time you experience that thing, you end up responding the same way that you responded before. So just say for Christmas you wanted the Cabbage Patch Kid with the Kung Fu grip.
Use this one. This was my favorite. My G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip. That was the best toy ever.
Right. And you thought you was going to get it, and you looked in the box and it wasn't that. It was actually Ken, Barbie's boyfriend.
Now what I'm going to do with you?
And so you like, wait a minute, hold on. So you get disappointed, right? So here's the thing about feelings that's very interesting. So emotions is not even something that we have in this present moment. And that's where the intelligence come in too, because we really stopped feeling a long time ago as human beings. We have a defense mechanism, and once we get hurt, our natural ability is to protect or to really preserve who we are at that moment.
Right.
And so whatever that emotion was that we felt at that time, we end up holding on to it. And today we got a feeling.
Right.
We don't have an emotion right now. We have a feeling that was really captured when I was 7 years old, when I wanted the G.I. Joe, but I got the Ken Barbie.
Right. So essentially what you're saying is that, okay, so Des had this experience early in his life. It's an experience. I had it when I was 7 years old.
Right.
And now later in my life, I have another experience, but my feelings go back to that experience that I had when I was 7 years old. So if I didn't grow from that experience, if I didn't address that experience in an emotionally intelligent way, or if I didn't get some help in learning from that, come to some resolve in it. Yes. So now I'm experiencing again when I'm 27. And it doesn't have to be the same thing, but it's something that goes back to that same emotion. And I experienced my 7-year-old experience, my 17, my 22, my 27, my 38, and I'm experiencing all of that emotion in one time, and I'm acting on the emotion without acting on the experience, the current situation.
Right. I'm feeling now. I'm in my feelings. So, when they say you all in your feelings, you really are in your feelings, because the situation that's before you, the reality of the situation that's before you, is predicated on a situation that happened when you was 5 years old, 7 years old, 13 years old, right? Because the brain actually, I'm a researcher, so I've got to go back. We actually, from the birth to 10, that's when we start to formulate our thoughts and our opinions. And, our brain is just so open, so we're forgiving and everything. Like, somebody can hurt your feelings, or, you can get beat up or whatever, and the next day you're their friend again. But from the age of 11 to 25, your brain actually starts to try to make sense of the experiences that you had from the age of birth to 10, right? And so now that time that person beat me up, I remember my mama said, that ain't your friend. So now when I get beat up at 13, now I formulated, or my brain is saying, oh no, that's not your friend. So then you make the decision at that point that people who beat me up ain't my friend, right? Or people who threaten me, or people who judge me, or people who do this thing is not my friend. And
or
so
people that I just have a conflict with.
Right.
If you don't see things the way that I see them, if we have a disagreement, or my thought isn't perfectly formulated, but at this moment, based upon who I am and what I'm doing, we are at odds.
Right.
We have a difference of opinion.
Right.
And because of our difference of opinion, now I view you as an enemy.
Right.
Or I view you as a threat to myself, to my person.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you talk about a deeper cultural issue, and I'm saying around all cultures, is that we experience life from birth to 10, and we're absorbing everything. And if you have limited experiences like a block or a city or, a house, then that's the only experience that you have to pull from as you get older, from 11 to 15. And so you really have a difficult time trying to understand what's going on. So you start to use the things, the words and things that was told to you at that time to solidify that. And now as an adult person, you want friends, you want to grow, you want to, expand your life, you want to attain your dreams, but you really can at this point because you're stunted. You're stunted by that thing that happened, and you don't know why you feel that way. You don't know why you don't trust people. And the thing about it is that we end up perpetuating those same type of relationships that keep us in that and keep us stuck. So those people end up validating the very thing that we believe, because where your attention goes, your energy flows. And so this whole mastermind thing is to really set you for a higher order of thinking, to really be able to think about reality different. Right.
So one of the things that
Thanks,
we talk
Richard.
about. One of the things that we talk about is various things, but one of them is this notion of common sense. If you could follow me on this notion of common sense, we always say, well, it's common sense that you shouldn't walk out in the street. It's common sense that this is this and this is that. So common sense is a misnomer. Common sense in and of itself simply means that we have an experience or a number of experiences in common. So if we don't have the experiences in common, how can we have a common sense? That means that we don't have enough parallel experiences. So when Sheila learned her colors, I was learning my colors too. When Sheila learned her numbers, I was learning my numbers too. But if Sheila is in class A and they're learning their colors, I'm in class B and I'm learning my numbers. Somebody else is in class C and they're learning their shapes. And somebody else is learning this. So when we all come together and there's a common test, the likelihood that Sheila's going to get her colors right is great. But when it comes to numbers, she ain't going to know nothing about that because her experience has been limited to colors or it's been limited to the alphabet. Right. So now that we're in a common experience and somebody shows a red card, if I've been working on numbers, I don't know what red is. So we get upset when we all come together and say, well, how could you not know that that's red? That's just common sense. Right. Well, the common sense comes from, again, an experience that we have in common. Right. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, why would you get angry because Des don't know that that's red? Right. That's not an emotionally intelligent situation for you to work yourself through. Right. Because you are emotional about something that I don't know because you're taking for granted that I should know it. Now, here's a transition. We're talking about numbers and colors. But here's the thing. As adults, and we work in our professional lives and in our families and things of that nature, that's when this emotional intelligence concept really comes to life for us. That's when this emotional intelligence concept really begins to mean something to us in a deeper, more profound way because it's not just my household now. Now it's individuals in the community that I engage with, and I want to have a professional relationship or I want to have a perception of my person that is favorable. But if I'm stunted emotionally and then I have an interaction with Sheila and she's talking about colors and I'm talking about numbers and I'm getting upset because my emotions are getting the best of me because I remember what it was like. My feelings are getting the best of me because I remember what it was like when I was in the second and third grade and I didn't master this concept. So I'm emotionally going back to that feeling. And I'm bringing all of that feeling into this experience. Right.
So Dorothy asks, should your emotions be validated by anyone other than yourself?
That's a good question.
That is.
I think, first, I think you should always seek to validate yourself with yourself because you know who you are. We need to spend more time getting to know who we are in different experiences and things of that nature. But Sheila may have a different. I think you start with self. I think you start with self. Do you look for others to validate you? Yes. But I don't think that you start with others to validate you. I think that's unhealthy.
Well, I differ with that. I feel like, one, you have to look at the reality of the situation. And my mom taught me this a long time ago, because your eyes are not meant to look at yourself, they're meant to view other people. And it's very difficult for us to validate who we are, what we know, what we do, if we don't have the right reflections around us, right? And so sometimes we seek validation in the wrong areas. Right. And I think that's the problem. Like you go seek validation from somebody who really has an emotional issue with you. So their lens or their memetics or their meme is really not focused on helping you. Right. But you continue to go to your mom who only knows what she knows, or your grandma who grew up in the South and only knows a limited amount of things, or you go to these individuals to validate you, and they really don't have the credential, the esteem, the experience to really see you as you are as a whole person. Right. And I think that's where the issue comes in, and that's why it's good to really get around a network of people who is really more intelligent than you are, so they can be able to see that thing in you and end up validating it. Now, once they validate that, and once you change your environment, because environment is key, once you change your environment, then at that point, that environment then feeds you and it grows you. And as you're being fed and as you grow, then you start to, get a level of confidence and a level of esteem about yourself and a level of knowing, right? Like, okay, I know this is true about me because A, B, C, D, and E said that, and I do it too. You know what I'm saying? And so, now, the important thing about being validated is whatever you're being validated with, you have to have that belief first. Sometimes we want to be validated and say, do I look nice? But in your mind, you don't feel like you're attractive. So no matter how many people tell you you're attractive, right, you're still going to feel unattractive, right? But if you know that you put in the work, you got the A's, you're working hard, right? and you just want to be validated for that because you've been shunned by the individuals who you're with now, then it's good to be validated. But you can't be validated unless you believe it. Like Dad said, it comes from you unless you believe it in yourself. But just believing it in yourself, for me, is not enough. Because, I mean, as human beings, we have a need to, one, be heard, be understood, and to know that you care about whatever that is. And that's just a human need for us. So absolutely, we need to, you can seek validation from other people. So
one of the things that you said, and one of the things that was brought up by one of the viewers, Richard, he said, does this go hand in hand with your teaching on barriers? Yes, because you can have personal barriers that don't allow you to see yourself for the person that you are. So you're always seeking validation outside of self, and which isn't a bad thing, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying that that's a bad thing. However, I believe that it has to start with you. Know that you are a good person, do good things to support the person that you are, and then seek the validation of others to make sure that you're on the right course.
The right people.
Right, the right individuals, right. So, one of the things we talked about in one of the issues of Bowtie Chronicles is how it's important for you to surround yourself by like-minded individuals, which is what this whole mastermind thing is about. But surround yourself with individuals who want to grow. I remember what it was like growing up in my neighborhood, and I enjoyed reading. Reading for me was a way of escape. So when things got crazy, I would find me a book and I would go in my closet, way in the back of the closet with a flashlight. I'd set up this little space back there and I would just read. That provided me an opportunity to escape. But the more I began to read in the public, or more I began to read and share my reading experience with others, meaning I'm just sitting and reading, I remember when one of the persons in the community, I was reading around them, and he was having a difficult time with it, only to find out his problem was he didn't know how to read. So me reading confronted the barrier that he had in regards to reading. So yeah, we got to be willing to, one, be honest with ourselves and come clean with ourselves in regards to our strengths, our weaknesses, our deficits. And part of this whole thing is coming to know that we all have deficits.
Right.
And because we all have deficits, we need to make a decision. That key moment pops up. Am I going to address this deficit, or am I going to act like I don't have it?
Right.
And when I act like I don't have it, then I put myself in survival mode. Right. So I'm more likely to argue when I'm in survival mode than I am when I am on a pathway of success.
Right.
So.
Right. It brings me back to a conversation that Des and I have about just our different paths. So, both of us are, very intellectual, very insightful individuals. However, we walk down two different paths. Des was young. He liked to read. He was, getting good grades and things like that. And actually, he had parents that saw that in him and they invested in that, right? So from the age of, birth through 10, his intelligence was invested in. So they sent him to the schools and things like that to be able to harness that intelligence or grow it. Right. Where in my experience, I was in kindergarten and the teacher told my mom, you need to put her up, and my mom was like, no, second grade, Mr. Wells at Heaven Ridge, Mr. Wells in the secretary, and me and my mom, we sat in the office and Mr. Wells was like, hey, you know what? She needs to be put up because, this thing that she's doing, she's really like learning faster than the students. And so we need to put her up. And my mom was like, no. Well, my mom didn't really believe, I don't say she didn't believe in education, but she just really had no kind of concept of, what are you saying? You want my daughter to be put up, go to this different environment with kids she don't know and, and things like that. So that truly became a key moment for me, where by the time I got to the third grade, although I knew I was very smart, because it wasn't something that was, cultivated, I kind of lost it. So when I got, to the high school or junior high, it was kind of like, yeah, I'm just going to go to class and I'm just going to do this test, or I'm just going to do what they asked me to do. And I passed, but I really didn't apply myself, because my key moment was this wasn't important, versus Dez's key moment coming up was that education was important and his parents believed in it, And so when he became a teenager or started to make decisions, he ended up realizing, well, wow, I got to go off to college. I got to do these other things to cultivate that in which I experienced as a young boy. With me, I'm like, am I going to college? Or, I didn't really think about that because in my younger years, that wasn't something that was talked about or even cultivated. So we talk about these key moments. My key moment was at 25 when I was graduating from Saginaw Valley. And then that's when I realized, wait, you are smart. Or when I got to Saginaw Valley and, the teachers came up to me and was like, you're very intelligent. Like you an asset to this classroom. And I'm like, who, me? But for me, I couldn't even hear that teacher say that because in my younger years, it was like you talk too much and, you think you too smart. So it was looked on negatively. So for me to express who I was intellectually to an environment that did not look like my home was a very difficult task to do because I felt, not that the environment did that, but I felt on the inside that, you just don't talk, you just don't share your thoughts, And so I really was playing small in my life for a long time because of that. So we talk about these key moments and we talk about emotional intelligence. We said that it's truly the emoting of an emotion, and how do you do that intelligently? And we do that intelligently by not just thinking about ourselves, but thinking about the other person too and how they would feel in a situation. So when we talk about key moments, that's the situation that happened in your life that you're holding on to. And when you hold on to that, then you end up going down a pathway of survival. And it's actually really two pathways, a pathway of survival and a pathway of success. Now, when a key moment happens to us that we hold on to, and then we created emotion around it. So we have an issue, we create an experience around the issue, that becomes a key moment in our life. We have an emotion about it. We're faced with it now. And now we're feeling the same way about this situation today that I felt when my boyfriend broke up with me, or I felt when I got I got in trouble, or my dad didn't come when he said he was going to come, or I didn't get the G.I. Joe, or whatever that thing was. Now I'm actually displaying that in my life, and I'm only surviving because the road to survival is that when a key moment happens, you actually resist reality, the reality of the situation that's really happening before you, because you're projecting what happened before. I didn't get what they want. They don't care about me. Nobody wants to listen or whatever. We start to project that and we resist the reality of the situation, which is I'm 27 now. I'm 35. I have ownership. My mom's not raising me anymore. No one has the control that they had before, but we resist that reality and we get trapped. And when we get trapped, we end up disowning the responsibility. So when we resist reality of the situation, back to the burgers, the person put 4 onions on your burger and not 7. Now the reality of the situation is the person made a mistake. Right? But you just don't even see that reality. Right. You actually disown responsibility because now you go in, I know that you did this and you should, why they even hire you to do this job or whatever that is, right? So you disown the responsibility of being an integrous person and really handling that situation for yourself.
And I think that, again, your motive is all wrong. Mm-hmm. Your motive when you go in, if your motive is that you can get all of this food for free, now you're going to go in with the motive to get it for free, and you're creating this emotional situation that isn't integritous.
Right.
Again, so you're creating a situation that didn't have to be created.
Right.
And so you're using an emotional means to get your goal when your goal isn't integritous. So that's the biggest challenge that I see in the whole thing. Why would you create a situation that's really based upon survival? That's not a pathway of success. It's a pathway of survival. So, when we have these experiences, every experience that we have should be an experience that we at least learn from. And so when we talk about emotional intelligence, there's a cycle that we tend to go through. And one is considered the pathway of success, and the other is considered the pathway of survival. So if you're looking at the pathway of success, when you have a moment or an experience, first you clarify your vision and your purpose. And after you've clarified your vision and your purpose, then you act with integrity so that you can get the very thing that you want that is integritous.
Right. But hold on a second, because I was taking them through the pathway of survival.
Oh, you start with survival.
Yeah, I started with survival.
Okay, go on.
So I was talking about how we resist reality. The reality of the situation was that in this burger situation, how they just made a mistake. But you don't want to accept the reality that the person who was making your burger made a mistake.
Right.
And
but
then
even in that, but the reality of your motive is wrong. So you got the burger and it's wrong. Yeah,
right.
They gave me 4 onions, I think you said, instead of 7.
Right.
So that's an issue. But now your motive has shifted in that moment, and you want to get it for free.
Right.
So yeah, go ahead.
So that's the reality of the situation.
Right.
That you want this burger for free, even if it has 6 onions, and even if you're going to pick them off at the end of the day and not even eat them.
Right.
So you resist reality, and then you disown responsibility that was even your motive, right? Because you know how you end up saying, because it ain't like I'm trying to get it for free because I got the money. Right. But the truth of the matter is you are trying to get it for free, right? And so you're going to emote all of this extra behavior and this insulting behavior to try to get that what you want, but then you have to stamp it with, because I got the money to pay for it. It ain't even about the money, but the reality is that it is. Like you do want these for free, and that's why you came back in here like this. And then we lack vision and purpose, and that's just being able to see, okay, if I act like this in this moment, and maybe I'm a little shallow with it. Maybe, Dr. Dan, you can go a little deeper. But if I act like this in this moment, the next time they see me, how they going to feel about me? Is they going to mess up my burger intentionally? On purpose? Like lacking that vision of how this behavior is happening in this moment is going to affect my future, how I'm perceived, how I'm judged or whatever. Just really puts you in a bad way. It doesn't affect anybody but you. And then not only lacking the vision, but the purpose. So if the purpose is truly to get a new burger, then just say that. Hey, can you just put 7 onions on my burger? And once I get that, now I know my purpose of going in here, and my purpose is just to get my burger fixed. Right. And then when we do that, now we have all this angst because we really don't know if they're going to give you your burger over. We don't know if they're going to kick you out or they're going to call the police or whatever. And then we start to react from a place of fear. What if they don't do this? What if this happens? Whatever the case is. And when we react from fear, it's really not healthy, because then we start becoming irrational. Right? We start to do some irrational things, really start to tell ourselves some things that's really not true. And then it's just a continuous cycle. You scared up there. You don't know what's finna happen. You don't know if the whole crew finna come from behind, the McDonald's and jump on you, but you resist the fact that your behavior is so indignant. Is that the word? Right. And so indignant that, that you could get jumped right now, or we could call the police on you right now, but you just resisting that reality of your behavior, and then you disown responsibility. But that's the pathway of survival, right? And that's how we end up surviving in our relationships, right? We survive in our jobs. We resist the reality of where we're at in our jobs. Where we're at in our relationship. We disown responsibility. The only reason I'm unhappy is because of you. Has nothing to do with me. The only reason I'm in this situation because my mama didn't do what she was supposed to do. We lack vision and purpose of who we are, what we do, what we want for our lives. And then we end up being fearful about attaining that goal in which we really want, which could be, to get another job, to, start a business, to do whatever. But it's truly because we're just trying to survive, and the brain works in such a way that it's going to make sense of the situation no matter what. That's what your brain does. It wants to make sense of everything. So you can have 1, 5, and 10, and those are the only 3 numbers that you have, and your brain gonna tell you, 2, 3, 4 6, 7, 8, because your brain wants this whole picture to come together. And that's why we end up projecting and assuming things about people based on our limited thoughts, based on our limited abilities. And we just do that as human beings. And so we come up with these crazy stories, these thoughts and these behaviors that's really irrational. Like that's not even what happened. And I know you've been done like that before. Somebody done told you that this thing happened in a different way that it happened. And you like, no, that's not even it. But that person is really thriving in survival. They're really just trying to, make it through this situation so they can make it to the next situation.
Right.
So that's all about a key moment.
Right.
Now, the way that emotional intelligence tell you that you need to do, and I'll let Des talk about the pathway to success. But remember, we have key moments in our life where we had an emotion about something and we get set in our feelings about that whenever that comes up again. And when we get set in our feelings, we end up going in this pathway of survival where we're just getting by. And that's how we feel, right, in life. I'm just getting by. How you doing? Oh, I'm barely making it. How is life? Oh, it could be better, and you're just barely getting by. You're just surviving the moments because you lack reality, you disown responsibility for yourself, you lack a vision and purpose, and then you become fearful of whatever it is that's different than that thing in which you want it.
Right. So when you think about that, that's good. When you think about the pathway of survival, and then you compare that to what we call the pathway of success. So when you're dealing with the pathway of success, or you're on the pathway of success, first thing you do is you clarify your vision and purpose, as I was saying. Why did you go in to McDonald's in the first place? Why did you go in to complain about the burger? What's your intention, right? So you clarify your vision and your purpose, and then act with integrity. So if your vision and your purpose is to get this meal for free, now you're going to be confronted with the reality of who you are when you look to act within integrity. So I'm trying to get these burgers for free, and I'm going to create this scene. And you're given a key moment. Even then, you have a split second wherein your mind is going to tell you, okay, how should I go through? How should I pursue my goal? How should I go about getting this very thing that I want? Okay, so you have an opportunity to act with integrity. So now that you get there and you say, you know what, my burger wasn't prepared the way that I wanted. However, and the however gives you that opportunity to say, I'm just wondering if you could just remake this burger. Instead of going in and acting and getting caught up in your feelings and carrying this thing to a place in which you shouldn't have to do it. Now, when you embrace reality, the reality is you all made a mistake. I wanted 7 onions, you gave me 4. So is there a way that you can do this, make this right for me? And if you have the burger with you, that kind of helped instead of somebody already ate it and all you got is the wrapper from it. But you embrace the reality of it was a mistake. And the fact that it was a mistake, we can correct the mistake. And you exercise responsibility by saying, you know what, once we realized that it wasn't the way that we wanted, we probably should have brought it back then, but we didn't. Right. And so we're always faced with these key moments. And that example in and of itself, I thought was a great one, because when we were talking about it, I mean, for me, I'm a visual person. So I saw this thing playing out in my mind, and I saw this angry person going in and just going in on who didn't make it.
Right.
They didn't even make it.
Right.
But you're going in on this person because they're a representation of the organization.
Right.
Now flip it. You are a representation of something as well.
Right.
You're a representation of your family, your representation of your community, your representation of your organization, and the various things in which we do is the way that we want to be noted.
Right.
And if that's the way you want to be noted, then carry on.
Right.
But if you're looking to have a different legacy, and somebody talked about legacy and reputation, if you want to have a legacy of being integritous, then it starts with those key moments and how you're going to handle those key moments.
And just to go through that, Des started with clarity and vision and success. But one of the things I do when I become emotionally unintelligent is I really try to face the reality of the situation. Mm-hmm. Like, I really try to say, okay, what's really going on? How am I feeling about this thing? Why do I feel this way about this thing? And it could be something as simple as a burger. And mind you, I probably want to go off and I probably feel like, I just know that they should have got my order right. But I really try to face the reality of the situation that, something else could have been going on other than what I'm thinking.
Right.
And at that point, then I exercise responsibility, and I would go to the person and I would say, hey, you guys, didn't put these onions on this burger. You know, my son outside crying, or I'm really hungry. So I'm gonna exercise the responsibility in telling the person how I feel. You know, I'm upset. You know, I know it's probably not your fault or whatever, but I'm going to state how I feel and take responsibility. And I may come off a little abrupt to you, but it really is because I'm upset, right? So I'm taking ownership and responsibility.
Right.
And then I'm going to clarify my vision and purpose with this individual. The only thing I really want is to get another burger. Now, if you want to throw some fries and a drink in there, that would be good, right? Because I'm thirsty, because I've been sitting here talking to you this long, and I've been thinking about this in the car. But, you know, I'm going to think about, and I'm going to clarify my vision and purpose, not just to me, but to that individual, so they can know what my intention is. Mm-hmm. And from that, I'm going to act in integrity. So once they do it, I ain't going to snatch the bag from them.
Right.
You know,
right.
I ain't coming back to this place no more. Now, there was times I probably did that, but in that moment, thank you. I really appreciate you really helping me out, you know. Right. And then I'm going to embrace the reality again that was a very uncomfortable situation. Right. I may walk out of the restaurant, you know,
right.
that was a lot, you know, and I may not even be hungry anymore, right? But that's a pathway of success. And the success is I did not have to be irate with this individual, put this person down, because I don't really know what's going on in their life, right? And because I don't know what's going on in their life, I don't even have the authority to really make them feel bad about a burger when they could be not paying, you know, could be in a way worse situation at home, right? And so I was successful in getting what I wanted, and also, you know, communicating to this individual in a very emotionally intelligent way, although I was upset. Right? Because you didn't put my onions on my burger. I'm used to 7. And you only gave me 4, you know, and I do want that pop because I'm thirsty now, you know, but I'm very clear about that to that individual. So the only thing that they can leave with, they may have some angst too, but they can appreciate at the end. When they leave, because the last person was so emotionally unintelligent, right? And then I'm leaving with the burger that I have. And so that's how we really do the pathway of success.
Right. And I think when you think about that, again, it goes back to your intention. You know, if you were intentional. So let's take this to a setting at work. So you're at work and you're working hard and you are in approaching middle management. You want to be considered for an opportunity to move up within your job, but then there's a project. And this project requires that we all work together. So, and many of us can recall being in a situation where we were working with a group of individuals and not everyone carried their weight. So you may have gotten upset because that person didn't carry their weight. The emotionally intelligent thing to do is to talk to the person about not carrying their weight. Instead of going behind their back and talking about them and saying negative things about them, the intelligent thing to do is to harness your emotions. You can be for real about being upset about this person not carrying their weight. You don't have to deny who you are emotionally, but you can take that and use it in a way that's going to be mutually beneficial. So you're on the team, you're not carrying your weight. So now what I want to do is talk to you about it. Now that might be confrontational, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to engage in name calling. You don't have to belittle anybody, but you can talk to them about, look, this is a team thing, and every one of us is responsible for a portion of this, or every one of us is going to get a grade. And so you talk about it in a manner where you're addressing the issue, you're not numb to the issue, and you're presenting that person perhaps with an experience that they've never had before. Or they may not even know that they're not pulling their weight. They're used to doing things at a standard of 3 when you're functioning at a standard of 7. So isn't it to your benefit to tell them what the standard is, so everybody now has a common understanding of what the standard is?
It kind of go back to the whole being passive aggressive, aggressive and assertive, right? We learned those terms coming up. You know, are you a passive aggressive person? If you are, then you in survival mode, like you don't act then, but you close the door behind you, or you blame people, whatever. If you're an aggressive person, again, you're just surviving. You feel like you can bully everybody and get what you want. But if you're an assertive person, then you're really living in a place of survival, because, I mean, in success, because you're really communicating whatever that is, be it good, bad, or indifferent, and you are aware that that comes with the level of emotions. It is very, very, very challenging to be able to speak about that in which you want, that in what you need, that in how you feel, and to an individual who may not even care, right? Or who may just reject you just because that's what they do, right? But you still stand up in who you are and be successful. So why is this important is to, to our emerging leaders, to, our small business owners. Why are key moments important?
The reason that key moments are important is, one, because we're all faced with key moments. We're all faced with situations where we can demonstrate our integrity in a way that's positive, that's a win-win. We're all put in situations where, our character is right before us and we have the opportunity to do things in a manner, I remember going to the Catholic school, and one of the things that they would throw at us quite often is, would you do this in church? Would you do this very behavior that you're engaging in? Would you do this in front of the church?
Right.
And so that becomes a good filter. Man, would I really want to do this? So that gives you an opportunity to reflect on why you're doing what you're doing, the anticipated outcome. But when you talk about the importance of it, again, we're all faced with those key moments. We're all in positions where we're not only representing ourselves, but we're representing our community, we're representing our family, and we want individuals to leave us feeling better than they did when they experienced us. And you're a professional person. For those who are working and trying to, that emerging leader who's trying to establish, a legacy for themselves in the workplace, it's important that you handle those key moments just like that. You want to demonstrate emotional intelligence. You don't want to be offensive to your colleagues. You want to be supportive. You want to demonstrate that you're the one that's willing to invest in self so that you can grow and help others around you grow.
Right. And to add to that, I feel like it's important to be emotionally, or one, to recognize the key moments, because I think in our profession, a lot of us want to grow, right? A lot of us feel stuck. We don't really like the jobs we may be currently in. We want to move forward in a position. We want to go back to school. We want to be better parents, better mates, and all of those things. But if we have a lot of baggage or a lot of key moments that happen to us in our lives that we didn't handle because of the environment didn't allow us to handle that thing, that the environment didn't support that experience or that emotion that we had. We cried. Nobody came to save us, right? When we're faced with the opportunity to grow, to change our lives, to have the courage to do that, that key moment comes back up again for us, right? So I start to feel the way I felt when I wasn't supported before. I start to feel this way. And then you end up not executing that very thing that you want in life. And that dream or your purpose is knocking on you. Like, it's telling you that there's more for you. It's telling you that there's, that you have a life, that your life has meaning and purpose, but you can't really get to that. You feel it, but you can't get there because you're stuck in your key moments and you just trying to pay your bills, right? Or you just trying, I don't want to be like my mom and be on welfare, or, I don't want to be like such and such and, be a single mama, or I don't want to do this, and so, but those are key moments that that really has nothing to do with our reality right now, in the plight that we're facing in our life, in the unhappiness or the discord or the dissonance that we face right now in our lives. We can no longer continue to allow those key moments that happen to us when we really didn't even have control of our lives to really take charge of our lives now. And unfortunately, those key moments grow and grow and grow because, like I said, we continue to do those same things over and over again, right? So what I did at 7 to deal with an issue, and what I did at 17, and now what I did at 27, and now what I'm doing at 37 is similar to one another, right? Because I'm still stuck and I'm just surviving, trying to make it through. And I mean, I grew up in the hood, so I know how it is to survive. And I said, I don't want to be on welfare. And I said that, I don't want to have a lot of the things that I've seen in my neighborhood or in my family. However, when faced with the decision to start my own business, I got a lot of flack for that, right? And that could have brought up a key moment when I wanted to get, promoted to the first grade, when my mama said no, and I took the no. But when I went to my mama and my grandma and I sat at that kitchen table and I said, hey, you know what? I'm about to quit my job and start my own business. And they said, girl, you crazy, right? I acted emotionally intelligently, and I knew that had to do with their life, not my life. And I wanted something different for myself, so I had to really reshape and reform and look at the reality is I don't like my job. I feel like I have more to offer, right? I'm gonna take responsibility. I'm not happy, you know, and all too often we give the facade that we are, or that we have it all together because we have the house, the cars, the money, and everything, right? But there's an internal clock in us that's ticking, and it's ticking, and it's weighing on our lives. Sure. But we don't even take responsibility to say, you know what, I'm really not happy, and I'm not where I want to be, because the last time you said that, you probably got a whooping, right?
So I'm hearing you. So what you're saying is, again, what we'll do is emotionally, we'll go back to a previous experience that we have. We'll relive that emotion, that feeling, because the emotion was associated with the first experience.
Right.
So now I'll relive that feeling and I'll replay it in my head as I'm going through my current experience.
Absolutely.
So what that says is that I didn't mature from the first experience.
Right.
And so now my mind is looking for a point of satisfaction.
Right.
My mind is looking for a place of growth. My mind is looking for an opportunity for me to come out and be victorious or be successful in this situation. But my emotion, my feeling may keep bringing me back to where I was.
Bringing me back all the time.
And so to be emotionally intelligent is to understand I was hurt when I was 7. But now that I'm 38
and 17 and 27 and 29,
right? So now as I'm living this current experience the experience for what it is, and not for the feeling that came along with some previous experiences.
Right.
You know, I remember what it was like when I went to Central Michigan, and you know, I did everything that I thought I was supposed to do, and I walked in my freshman year. I had that experience with that professor that, you know, and this is real for me because my stuff was always centered around academics. So I'm in this class, and we had an assignment, and the assignment was to write a reflection on da-da-da-da, and I'm a freshman, and so I wrote my paper, and I felt good about my paper, and I took it and I handed it in, and I'm sitting in the next session, and they're passing out all of the papers, right? So they pass out all of the papers, and I don't get one. Mm-hmm. And I'm from 9th Street, so, you know, I'm cocky, and I'm like, hey, so my paper is the paper, I got the exemplar paper. This is the one that they're going to, you know, it's going to be in the newspaper. They're going to post this. This is the example that all students should follow. That's how I'm feeling. And then the reality hit when the TA came to me and said, hey, Professor so-and-so wants to see you after class. So I go and I see the professor, and the long story short is the professor ended up asking me, had I ever been tested for special needs?
Ooh.
And so I'm hurt. But I understand special needs. That doesn't mean that I'm not intelligent. It may mean simply that I need more time on tests.
Right.
I can't be around certain stimuli because that distracts me from the focus in which I should have. So I understand all of those things. But, you know, that hit me at a different point. And she began to question me and the person that I was based upon a paper, which, you know, grade my paper, but don't look at my character because you don't know me that well. So that same individual in that moment said, well, where are you from? I said, I'm from Saginaw. And then she started hitting, oh, Saginaw is this, Saginaw is that. And she started talking negatively about my home. So now it's really, really getting personal.
Right.
And I didn't like that. So essentially, the entire conversation was such that she told me that I wasn't college material, that I wasn't prepared to go to school. I was competing at a level in which I obviously wasn't prepared to compete, and compete at a level that would make me successful. And that hurt me. So for me, you know, I go back to my dorm room and I'm tripping. I'm like, dang, she don't even know me, and she talking about me and all this stuff. So a part of me says, okay, go back to 9th Street, because on 9th Street, I ain't got to talk to you about it. I'll just be about it. So I'll just have this confrontation with you and all this stuff. But I didn't do that. So what ended up happening was, fast forward, you know, I do well enough to graduate. And I will tell you, my undergrad educational experience wasn't all about academics. It was more about me learning and growing and figuring out who I was. But I graduated. So at the time that I graduated, you know, I took a picture and sent her a picture of me getting my degree. And then I went on later on and I got a master's. So boom, I took the picture and I sent it to her. And then I got my second master's, took the picture and I sent it to her. And then at the time that I had achieved my doctorate, now that's at a totally different level. So what they did is they gave us these embossed invitations to invite people to your graduation.
Now, what is embossed?
So this embossed invitation, and it said the entire the president and staff of Capella University encourage you and invite you to come out and be a part of this experience where Dr. Desmond Daniels, da-da-da-da. And so I sent that back to her. I sent her the invitation because it was important to me. One, because you don't know me well enough to define me and say what I can and I can't do.
Right.
The other part of it was I knew that there were going to be other brothers and sisters that she was going to be in a position to influence them. And if they didn't have enough self-esteem, enough courage for them to go ahead and pursue their dreams beyond the fact that somebody said that they couldn't, then they would have stopped right there. Right. Now, for me, I didn't know what emotional intelligence was at that time. Right. But I figured that was an opportunity for me to demonstrate some emotional intelligence and stick to my goal and my purpose and not be pushed aside or dissuaded as a result of somebody else's thoughts of me. So earlier when the question was asked about, the reflection piece and do you seek affirmation from others, sometimes that's a good thing. But there are times in our lives when you don't have anybody to affirm you. So if nobody's there to affirm you, do you just give up? Certainly not. I think that's a time that you dig deeper into yourself. Right. I think that's a time that you engage in a level of research. You put those small successes in front of you so you can experience this success, this success, this success. And the more you are successful, the more success builds on itself. Absolutely. So being emotionally intelligent is a great place for us to function from and to live. But it doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't.
It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of persistence, a lot of discipline, and being surrounded by, like you said earlier, surrounding yourself with a group of individuals who want to support you and see you succeed.
Absolutely. So. And it takes planning and discipline and things like that. Yeah. So Richard Brooks said, do you guys feel that pride can hurt the person at times, and how big of a factor is pride in survival mode? So as we wrap up, because we said we was only going to keep you guys for 30 minutes, but I think we had a great conversation. But as we wrap up, I want to touch on your question, and I think that's an excellent question, and then I'll allow Des to speak on it. So earlier we talked about a key moment happened in your life, which key moments happen every day. Something's going to happen to you today that's going to be a key moment of how you respond. Moment. Right.
Even
how
in this moment. Right. Some of us are faced with key moments and you just looking.
Right. So a key moment happens in your life, and in that moment an emotion is felt, right? And in the future you just feel. So 9 times out of 10, this question that you asked about pride, the reason why people are prideful and the reason why people are defensive and the reason why people push people away and we're not trusting, we work in our secondary emotions. So we have our first, as a therapist, we have our first level of emotions, which is true emotions: love, hurt, fear, right? These are real emotions. This is what people feel. So a baby gets startled and gets scared. A baby loves. A baby, you can see the baby happy, right? Those are our primary feelings. But then as we grow, we go into this secondary category. So those primary feelings no longer exist anymore. Actually, we're in our secondary mode. And one of those secondary feelings is what we call pride and defense and being defensive, or being scared, being fearful, because fear is actually an aftermath of being scared. So I was scared first. That was my primary feeling, but now I'm fearful now, So fear is not an emotion that we're born with, right? That's why a baby can go and stick something in the electric socket, or go to the edge of the car and not worry about like a car hitting them, because they don't have fear in them, right? So you talk about kids being fearless. So our secondary emotion comes in place. When that secondary emotion comes in place, we're no longer emoting. We no longer have feelings. Right. We don't care, right? We come from a secondary place. So that's why it's difficult for us to emotionally attach to people. I know I love you in the back of my mind, but you're asking me to show that love is a verb and not a noun. But to you, love is a noun. It's not a verb, because I don't even know how to emotionally attach myself. Or we talk about the lack of intimacy in relationships. Well, it's difficult to have intimate relationships when you're in your secondary feelings, because you're always on the guard. You're always coming from a place of, being prideful, or being defensive, or trying to catch somebody up, or I know you lying, or whatever that thing is. And so, yes, to answer your question, absolutely, pride is a place in which we're surviving, and pride is actually us trying to preserve that in which we have acquired over time, right? And so we feel proud that we were able to demonstrate or do this thing. It's okay to feel proud. That's your first emotion, but pride is a secondary. When somebody tried to threaten that thing that you're proud of, your secondary emotion is, now I'm prideful. Now I'm prideful. Yes. So now I hold this as a badge of honor because it was threatened before, right? And so when we talk about being emotional intelligence, it's really about being conscious. It's really about being intentional and being aware and being able to feel, right? Sometimes you can get so livid that you don't even realize the person in front of you is crying.
Right.
You don't even realize that the person is shaking, or you see people fighting on the internet and the person is like knocked out, unconscious, and like you still beating them up. And it's like, you got to get shook out of it. Like, hey, wait, this thing happened. And you're not even aware of it because you're not conscious. You're in your secondary emotion and you're coming from a very passive place or a place of survival. And so I just think it's important when we talk about emotional intelligence, it's really like a higher order of thinking. It's really like being aware of how do you feel? Right. What am I saying? Like if I'm screaming and you're squandering in your seat, like I need to be aware of that and check myself about that and just not keep making you go deeper and deeper and deeper in your seat because I see that this thing is truly offending you, and it's not helping it. And at that point, you got to know that person can't even hear you because now they're in their secondary emotion. So you sounding like want to them. Right. And so we sometimes get in our relationships at work or at home where you feel like you're not being heard, but you're coming from a secondary emotion of defending who you are as a person and not really emoting an emotion or emoting a behavior or a display to another person that's inviting, that both of us have a win-win situation.
So sounds like to me, what you're saying is that the person is now coming from a place of reaction. Being prideful. It's good to be proud. You achieved a certain level on your job, at home, so you were given this award, and you are proud of the fact that you engaged in this behavior. You did so well until others recognized you and you were able to accomplish something. To be prideful is the reaction of. So I was proud in the moment.
Of the threat.
Right. I was proud in the moment, so I know what the basis is of being proud. But now I'm going to relate a threat to this notion of proud, and they are two different things.
Whether realized or not,
right?
Because the threat can be perceived, right? That somebody gonna take this, and a lot of times we become prideful in business, right? I'm not gonna share my trades with you, or my, I got this great idea. I'm not gonna share with nobody because I'm smart and excellent. But that's really a prideful nature, and it's something that you could be proud of. But when you're proud, you really come from a place of service. I want you to see and experience this thing, right? I'm proud of this. Hey, this is what I learned. I want to teach you now. Pride is, I want to keep this to myself. And it's all about, I want to protect it, So that's coming from two different places. But I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, you're not. But it's, you're right. You're absolutely right. So what you're saying is pride is a response. And when you're prideful, it's more of a survival mode type of act. And so when you are prideful and you got caught up in that thing, then you're emoting something. You're creating an experience that doesn't have to be like that. So is pride always wrong? No. Is being proud wrong? No. It's really about being emotionally intelligent and always trying to create a win-win type of situation. If I am proud of the fact that I can get people to engage in an activity to do something good for the community, there's nothing wrong with that. If I have a level of pride surrounding the fact that I can bring individuals together or empower them to reach their goal, that's not a bad thing. It's that key moment. Again, you're faced with making a decision that's going to either create a win-win or it's going to create survival for yourself. Right. And the goal here is to put us all in a position where we can create a win-win, something that creates an opportunity for us all to learn, to grow, and to develop. Right. But again, if we get caught up in the self, that's when things begin to go wrong.
Right.
So
So as we close, like we said, we wanted to keep you guys for 30 minutes. And we didn't. We're sorry. We probably have to redo this thing and kind of probably make it an hour session, because we're actually going to come. We have them scheduled every first and third Tuesday, where we do our Tuesday tips, trades, and testimonials.
Yeah.
And on the second and fourth, we're actually going to surprise a company and try to go in and do some things with a company right there on the spot.
So can I just talk about that? 'Cause that's exciting. I'm really excited about the notion of, one, we want to go in and speak to some of our community partners and just go into their place of business and surprise them. And what we want to do is ask them questions like, so what's your biggest challenge on your job? And what we want to do is provide them with a solution in that moment, a real key moment. A real tip,
trade,
in a real trade,
Yeah.
And provide an opportunity for a testimonial to develop as a result of the help that we provided them.
Right.
And that takes a level of confidence. So you ready to do this thing?
I'm ready to do it.
I'm excited.
I'm excited. I am so excited. So we have that going on. And so this is really what we do. We talk about going back to the thing of being proud and pride. I think that in our company, when we first built it, I think that we was kind of prideful, right? So we really was like, we have this intelligence and we have, a lot to offer
people. And everybody needs what we have.
Right. But I have to say that we really had to go back and peel the onions back and say, you know what? We're proud of what we put together, and because we're proud of it, we need to offer it to people and not try to, attach a price to everything, because the people who are going to come buy from us, they're going to come buy from us. But if we stay prideful, then we're harnessing what we have. And we know that our business community, we know that, our emerging leaders, we know these individuals need these resources. And sometimes we're just not able to, some people just not in a position to do it, or they need that key moment to happen to them, or that aha moment to say,
right.
And you know what?
A lot of it is it's not only the aha moments, but an opportunity. Because I know that there are a lot of business-minded individuals out there who are entrepreneurs in their own right, who are very intelligent, and they just love to do the work that they love to do, but they don't have the business savvy that will support the work that they want to do and make them successful. So that's one of the things that we want to do. We want to work with those companies that have a great product that they want to put forward, or a great service that they want to put forward, but they don't know all of the business techniques that will help their business grow, so that they can create the win-win within our community. So like I said, I wish I had like the little what is that called, confetti and stuff, because we are in our first year. Let's clap it up. Can we get some likes and some hearts? Like, we made it through our first year, y'all. Statistically, like, that just wasn't supposed to happen. So we're here in June, and we've really re-looked and we revamped our website. That'll be coming out. We have our $79.99 programs that we're delivering. So everything with us is $79.99. So you can get office space every day. Thank you, guys. That just feels so good. Everything that we do here at Leadership That Delivers, from coaching to our mastermind groups to, if you at Access Business Solution Center, if you're a small business, you just need to get from home. It's like $79.99 for the month. And with that, you get, your office space, you get Wi-Fi. Now, where can you find that at, Des? Right? That's just not going to happen.
That's just not going to happen.
But it's going to happen right here at LTD Access.
You're absolutely. And even our coaching now, our coaching packages are $79.99. So we just, really went and we really just prayed.
Yeah.
And, stayed disciplined and dug deep and said, hey, you know what? We're proud of what we're doing. We feel like what we have to offer
is something to be celebrated.
Something to be celebrated. Shared. Absolutely. Yeah. And how can we make this thing work? And you know what, Dr. Dan, you could go to Detroit or South Carolina or to these big cities and, make $1 billion and, Shiela Little, your business therapist, could do the same. But you know what? We want to invest back into our community, because you know what? This is a place that truly, good, bad, or indifferent, raised us. Now that don't mean like, hey, if y'all watching and y'all somewhere else, we'll fly in and help you.
Right.
But, this is our base. This is our home. And this is what we want to invest in. And we want to invest in the people in this community.
Right. So thank you. We appreciate you being a part of it. Please like us on Facebook, Leadership That Delivers, And we want you to consider being a part of our Monday masterminds, our Wednesday winners. Shiela has this piece that she does all about your business, and that's really exciting for people who are starting their business or people that have been working in their business for some time, and they just need some pointers as to how to focus their energy so that they can be successful. Right. So Leadership That Delivers is that community organization. We're community-based, and we want to help those small businesses do what?
Big things.
Do big things. So
small businesses and individuals do big things. Right. So, and then we also have the Get Information group because, I'm a Beyonce fanatic. And so when she came out with the whole Get Information, for those people who really don't want to, start a business, we have our Get Information series. It's really about personal growth and development. Right. And we came up with our we call them our 6 P's of leadership that delivers. Right. And so we really base all of our curriculum around that. And it's truly Des did his Bowtie Chronicles on it. Finding your passion. We help you really find your passion. What does passion mean? Attach it to a purpose, right? And a purpose is always of service. And because when your passion knocks you down, your purpose will stand you up. And then how to become precise, and that's really about how to come from your strong point. We all are good at something, but we probably doing it on our crippled leg and not our strong leg. And so we go through some things to really try to get you to really come from your strong voice so you can be confident in that. And then we talk about perseverance because we all know that we have to persevere the mindsets of others. But the biggest person that we have to persevere is ourselves. Those key moments that has happened to us, it's really been such an influential part of our life and how we make our decisions and the things that we do. So as a consequence, we have to be able to persevere and create new key moments and new key moments and new key moments so we can be in survival. And once you're able to do that, you will beyond survival into success. Right. And once you're able to do that, harness that level of success, then you will be assumed a level of power. And we all seen people with power that misuses power. And I don't think that that's intentional. I think that's a survival place. Oh, yeah. But we really teach you how to be successful in your power. Utilizing your power. And we talk about your stories that you tell yourself, your money story, your personal story, your family story, your professional story. Really dig deep in that. And after you do that, you will be able to perform and have the life that you want for yourself and really create a legacy for your family, for your friends, and be that pillar in your community, in your home, at school, at work, that individuals can really look up to and appreciate. Yeah. Right. And so that's our goal. We're excited. Thank you guys for the hearts. Thank you guys for staying with us. Good looking. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled about it.
Last thing I want to say before we get out of here, thank you all. Please look forward to being with us next week. We're going to start right at 6 o'clock with these tips, trades, and all of these testimonials that you'll be sharing with us. We encourage you, put your testimonials, go on our Facebook page and give us those testimonials about great things that have happened as a result of being a part of this experience or things that you would like us to experience with you and help you through as you experience. So
always inboxes. If you have any questions or something come up, just shoot an inbox. We don't got to disclose your name or anything because what we understand too in this cultural, and I say it's cultural, is that, we really struggle with talking about those internal struggles that we have. And we want you to know that we do provide leadership that delivers you, and our leadership has, and the leaders before us has delivered us. And we want to be able to provide that same delivery to you guys. So, inboxes, email us or whatever. Now, Des says 6 o'clock. We did 6 o'clock today because of, unforeseen issues, but actually on Tuesdays we run a group from 6 to 8, so we're actually be doing these at 4 o'clock on Tuesday. 4 o'clock on Tuesdays. On every first and third Tuesdays we have the tips and trades. But next week we'll prompt you guys on when we go into that small business. And if you're a small business and you want us to come in and help you out, just inbox us and let us know.
So, last thing I want to say is be yourself because everybody else is taking.
Because everybody else is taking. And remember, we help individuals and small businesses do big things. And we're building tomorrow's leaders. When?